All right, welcome to Reptile Fight Club. My name is Justin Julander, if you didn't know. And here with me, as always, Rob Stone. How goes it for you, Mr. Stone?
It's going great. Yep, excited to be here. Another exciting show. Really good. Excited to talk to Rob. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got the double duo Robs tonight. So got Rob Christian on the podcast again. Welcome back, Rob. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm glad I can be here. We got Rob squared. It's not Rob Stone, it's Rob squared.
Yeah, we have to find a way to. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Advertising. It's just Rob versus Rob.
Rob versus Rob. Brother versus brother. Awesome. Well, yeah, glad to have you back, man. It's good to see you. Well, I guess for me, I get to see you, but the listeners just are hearing your sultry voice. So
suckers.
But yeah, so I don't know. I got out herping, so that was kind of crazy for Utah. March is not a great month to herp, especially northern Utah. So I went out last week because it hit the 60s. So I'm like, man, this is probably ideal. And I went to a spot and flipped rocks for several hours and saw bupkis. So I'm like, oh man, I guess maybe it's not the great time to go out. But then the next day I met up with some with Pat May, who's legend, Utah herper, really big into milk snakes, finds a lot of milk snakes in Utah, which are not the easiest snake to find out here. Much easier in like Kansas or even Colorado. But yeah, as the further west you go, the harder they are to find. But he has a knack and finds, quite a few. And then he had his buddy Parley, and he's on a lot of Pat's videos. So I gave a shout out last week, and I'll reiterate that he put out some good content, and he finds some crazy stuff. He had one day where he found now this won't sound too exciting for an East Coaster, but he found a bunch of ringnecks. In Utah, that's like a very rare snake to find. And they found several in the same area in one day. I think he said 6 or 8 or something like that. Crazy. And in addition to that, found a bunch of milks as well. So kind of, he's a legend herper. And then, it was a great time out. So the Saturday, I was hanging out with him and a couple other buddies, and just kind of herping around up in the mountains looking. I was kind of focusing on smooth green snakes, but then the weather was cloudy. There was no sun on Saturday. And so it was a little overcast, and it started snowing on us a little bit. But so he's like, maybe we should kind of tailor it to rubber boas. And so we went looking for rubber boas, and he got a rubber boa under a rock. So it was kind of cool. That's the earliest I've seen a herp in Utah. He got, I think he went out just for a few minutes on Friday and found a croat. He got a lutosis, so Great Basin rattlesnake.
Damn.
Yeah, middle of March. It's really crazy, but what do you do? So good times, good people. It's always nice to meet kind of the newer, new guys that I hadn't met. The other guy that was with us, his name's Jeremy. So yeah, drove a nice Lexus, cool guy. But yeah, it was fun to herp with some new guys, as well as getting out again with Pat. So good times. But I mean, not the most successful herping. We did find a few lizards as well under rocks. So we got a couple western skinks and a couple sagebrush lizards. So one of the skinks was a juvenile. Just the whole tail was bright blue. It was crazy. Had a difficult time photographing it. The tail just almost closed. It's so cool. So yeah, good times. But
I was wondering what that blue tail was that you had texted me. You only sent the tip of this tail, and I was like, is this a dead smooth green snake that's gone blue, as the other fades out, or what is this supposed to be? Yeah.
It was a mystery for you to solve. No.
Yeah, I figured that's what I figured you kind of the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd taken a picture of it after, because we kind of pulled it out and checked it out. It was dug in, so all that was sticking out was maybe a 1/4 inch of a blue tail, and so we pulled it out and took some photos and stuff. But yeah, I thought I'd had one of the whole skink, so I thought that's what I was sending you. But then I looked, it's just the tail sticking out of a hole. So yeah,
it's the mystery. Yeah, but that's what I figured it was. Yeah, those here,
not many options out here for a blue-tailed animal.
Although to that end, right, and I saw that on my rare foray into Facebook that you had reposted something from that Gordy posted.
Oh,
yeah. Opportunity to plug in terms of things relative to Utah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. We're putting the finishing touches on the field guide, so that should be out. I keep thinking it's soon, and it's one of those processes that always takes longer than you think it's going to take. So, but yeah, the field guide to the reptiles and amphibians of Utah should be coming out here, hopefully in time for herping season. So, yeah, we actually got Joe Mendelson to write the foreword. So listeners will remember him from a few episodes back when we did Grilling the Expert. He was a professor up at Utah State in herpetology, and then moved out to Georgia and was at the Atlanta Zoo for a while and one of the universities out there. So really cool guy. He's a rock star. It was a lot of fun herping with him. But so it's sad to see him move out to Georgia. But yeah, cool that he was willing to write the foreword. So looking forward to getting that wrapped up and out there. And I think it should be pretty affordable too. Bob tried to keep it, around $20, which is, hard to do these days. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, hopefully very soon we'll have that at your nearest national park. That's kind of the exciting thing for me is Bob has connections at the national parks. So my book will be sold at national parks, and co-authored with Nipper Reed, our old buddy Nipper from Venom Exchange Radio, and so really fun to work with him on this as well. It was basically his idea because he went looking for a field guide when he came out to Herp Utah, and he's like, there's no field guide. I'm like, yes, there is. And I looked and there wasn't. So yeah, he's like, well, let's write one. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So yeah. And shout out to, again, Pat and his good buddy, Rye Jones, and some other, great Utah herpers. Joey Muggleston, Chris and Aspen, there's a few photos from our own Rob Stone as well in there. So that'll be fun to have that out. And there's also a picture of Rob Stone in there as well. So wow. Yeah, we got the crew out herping in southeastern Utah. So you and Dustin, Nipper and Eric, yep, hanging out in Little Wild Horse Canyon, I think. Somewhere around there. But good times. So yeah, check it out. Hopefully soon. Yeah, Gordon put up a post, Gordon Schuett, and then I shared that as well. So
I was hoping it was the pre-order link, but it was not.
I wish. Yeah. Not quite yet. So yeah, and then I'm pretty sure they'll have them at the IHS meeting. So at least be able to maybe sign a copy or two or something out there. That'll be fun. But yeah, good times.
Have you gotten through the Pyro book?
I'm about halfway through. That was kind of funny because I had to walk a little ways when I was herping on Friday, the nice day. And so I was walking along this dirt road. They had a gate, and so I had to walk on the road. And so I was reading the book while I was walking. And then I heard a car, and there weren't many cars on the road because, again, the gate, but he had a key. And so I threw my thumb out, and he was nice enough to pick me up and take me the last mile or so because I was pretty spent, and hobbling a little because my ankle was bugging me where I'd broken it a few years back and things like that. So very nice man, but saved me the last little leg of the journey. I'm like, and I haven't hitchhiked in a long time. Most people probably have never hitchhiked in their life. It's, one of those things where it's like, oh, that's sketchy. That's dangerous. And my wife's like, why would you hitchhike? What are you thinking? And I'm like, I saw the dude, he passed me, going somewhere, and then he was coming back with his daughter. I'm like, unless she's a serial killer in training or something, it's probably safe.
That's how they lure you in, man.
Yeah. It's just me and my daughter. But yeah. And I figured it's on a dirt road. If worse came to worse, I'd just bail out and jump.
Yep. There you go.
But yeah, and you had to stop for the gate anyway. So. But yeah, it was crazy. I actually went out today at lunch as well. Took just drive up the canyon, trying to see if I could catch some. There's supposed to be a lutosis den, a Great Basin rattlesnake den up the canyon a bit, and it was in like a climbing guide. There was mention of a rattlesnake den close by, and I've kind of searched up there a bit. So I thought, it's. This might be the best time for them to hang out because it hit like 78 today in my
it was
town.
mid-80s yesterday.
Yeah,
here.
It's crazy. Yeah. Super hot. I guess all around. Well, some places and other places are colder than normal.
Right.
So
well, yeah, weird how that works. Huh?
Yeah. So, but I didn't see anything today either. And I don't know if it's my old eyes or I just wasn't in the right spot. But I'll continue to search that area because the place I was had some great crevices and it was southern facing and just ticked all the boxes. Just didn't see any snakes out. So, and that can happen, even if you're in the perfect spot. So I'll be making my way back out there at some point. Maybe earlier. I don't know if maybe, first light or something, they're coming out to sun, or maybe after it hits 60s or 70s or something, they'll be out. But yeah, I'm getting anxious to herp more. Yeah, a year ago, we were in Central Australia finding some really cool stuff. And that was another post. I threw up that black-headed python that we found on Jordan's birthday. So that was pretty fun. Good birthday. I guess now I'd be back home, but yeah, a year ago last week, we were in Australia. Itching to get back there too, but what do you do? How about you, Rob? Rob Christian? does the herping ever end? And you're in South Carolina,
North Carolina.
One of the Northern Carolina. All right.
Yeah, the more dignified Carolina, if you will. Honestly, the spot where I'm at, I find snakes year round. Since I moved here, I've kind of made it a challenge for myself to try and find at least one snake every month of the year.
Right.
And since I moved here in the end of 2021, I've only missed 2 months. Mm-hmm. Basically. But last year, every single month, I found at least one snake, and I've already found multiple snakes for January, February, and March.
Nice.
And literally today, I came across a big female garter snake. Mm-hmm. She was trying to get some water out of someone's French drain at their house. I do pest control for work, and so I'm walking around. I'm a supervisor now, so I don't do a lot of walking around houses as much as I used to.
Yeah.
But when I get to get out there and do some services, I'm always like, let me check under this board for termites. Let me look under this. Let me check under this piece of tin over here. Make sure there's no mice underneath here.
Right.
What we got going on over here? So today, I found that garter snake, and then yesterday I found 2 DKs, brown snakes, just chilling underneath someone's downspout. Because a lot of places where bugs are going to persist are also going to be great places to look for snakes. So right. I'm very lucky in that way, where I get, while I'm out doing services and doing this and doing that, I get to take a look around, see if there's any snakes, and then educate customers about it, because my company doesn't deal with any wildlife stuff.
Right, right.
Get permits for that. Yeah. So we just deal with bugs almost exclusively. Yeah. And so when I get people who have got tin in their yard or pieces of wood, I'm like, hey, are you trying to attract snakes to your yard? Because this is how you get snakes in your yard.
Right.
And
I
so
can take that tin off your hands and put it somewhere else.
I had one customer who, I go to their house and they're wearing one of these green EcoWear hats, and it's got the copper head on the front.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. You guys are cool. I can talk to you for a minute. Yeah. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, where'd you get that hat from? She's like, oh, I don't know. I was just at the museum, and I picked it up because I thought it looked cool. I was like, damn. Okay.
Not a
and then I go to outside, and they've got cardboard laid out on some leaves on their side yard. Mm-hmm. And so I talked to them. I was like, hey, this is probably not great. Like, if you are not trying to get snakes here, you will get snakes here. And she's like, oh, we're just using it to kill the weeds. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I come out there 3 months later, and there's a big copperhead underneath it. And so I went to her, I was like, hey, if you're done with that, you should get rid of it, because I just pulled this big easily like a 2+ foot copperhead out from underneath that piece of cardboard. And I was like, you guys should probably move that, because they have a little, like a 2-year-old. It's like, they probably don't want them cruising around lifting up things and looking under stuff. So I'm very lucky where I'm at, that there's a lot of like herping to do. There's a lot of natural state parks close to where I'm at. A bunch of them closed last year because we had some serious storms that flooded them out, and a lot of them kind of follow the river systems around here, and so the trails got annihilated. My favorite place to go got absolutely annihilated, just completely wrecked, and they haven't opened it back up yet. So I have to go to like a couple other ones in different sections of the river. But so much good herping. There's like most common snake I usually see down here is either northern water snakes, midland water snakes, or queen snakes. The Eno River area is like central North Carolina, northern North Carolina, and there's tons of queen snakes there. Just so many. And I'll find them down to when it's like 40 degrees outside. As long as it's sunny, they're out, like sitting out in the open, which is really freaking cool. And then black rat snakes all over the place, out the wazoo. There's so many of them. The only downside to where I'm at is that if you look like a distribution map of venomous snakes for North Carolina, like the mountains are over here, and they go like this, and they dip real low around the central portion of North Carolina, and they come back up to the coast. So where I'm at, the only venomous snakes we get for like an hour drive from where I'm at is copperheads. So I have to go elsewhere if I want to see canebrakes, timbers, the pygmies. Supposedly there's eastern diamondbacks and coral snakes and stuff. Not a whole lot of that going on in the state, but they're supposedly there. So, and then hognose snakes, but those are usually around the lakes. We'll get those. And I found one hognose since I moved down here.
Nice. That's cool. So, I mean, do you have any goals to kind of tick off all the reptiles in North Carolina, or are you just kind of herping for just to get out into nature and to enjoy it?
I'd like to get out into nature and to enjoy it. I feel like if I was to try and get every single thing, I'd be too like obsessive about it. It's because like, I don't know, I'm a little bit younger. I grew up with Pokemon, and they're like, catch them all, and I'm like, there's too many of them. I don't like a bunch of them. Why do I have to catch? I don't want to catch all of them. I just want to catch the ones I think are cool. So that's kind of how I look at the herping too. I'm like, I like this stuff, so I really want to see this stuff. So I think this year I really want to find mud snakes, because I haven't found any mud snakes since I moved here. And then along the coast you get the muds and the rainbow snakes and stuff, and I would really like to see some of those. I think they're really cool with the red and the black.
It's like America's version of the red-bellied black snake, huh?
They're so freaking cool. So those, I want to see more venomous snakes. I moved to North Carolina so I could start keeping venomous snakes, but just seeing them in the wild is cool. I grew up in Massachusetts, where there's no wild lizards, like no native lizards, so you don't get lizards ever. There's the only turtles we got are like the aquatic turtles. So most common turtle I would see is like painted turtles, and then if you know where to look, you can find like spotted turtles or blandings or wood turtles or whatever, but they're not common at all. Difficult to find. North Carolina, I get eastern box turtles crossing. I live at the end of a dirt road. I get them crossing my road when it's raining. They're like walking in people's yards. There's so many different, there's like river cooters. There's so many cool different things to see around, and lizards all over the place. I think it's because I grew up in a place where there's no lizards. Every time I see an anole, I'm like, anole! There's a lizard right there. Holy crap, that's so cool. It's so cool. So I get hyped for, the the random stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But as far as goals, I guess mud snakes, seeing more venomous snakes.
Yeah.
I would love to see some more canebrake / the timber rattlesnakes. I love those guys. So
yeah, I still need to see a canebrake. Yeah, I mean,
they're so cool.
Some people don't differentiate them, but I think
they're different. I don't care.
Form, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're like bonobos and chimpanzees are the same thing. Come on, they look close enough.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I've been having a little bit of a back and forth with the taxonomist and kind of that vein of like, well, bonobos and chimpanzees are different. We've got Neanderthal DNA in us. Like, how are we not just Neanderthals? Yeah.
I think that people get a little bit caught up with one way or the other,
right?
And they're like, well, it's not enough genetic difference, and it's like, do you know how much genetic makeup we share with a banana? Like, this is getting a little bit you're losing the plot there, buddy.
Right. Yeah, you have to be like 20 million years ago, you have to have diverged or something to be unique enough. And it's like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well,
there's also
I guess that's
kind of a veneer of science to some of that, right? Where it's like, it's X number of, and it's almost like creating rather than an argument with sort of equal weight or merit, kind of equal positions. Instead, it's kind of like, it's almost used as a trump card or something, where it's saying like, oh, well, I have 3 nucleotides that are on my side, therefore nothing you say matters. That sort of idea.
Exactly. I guess that's the beauty of being herpers, is we can recognize whatever forms we want. We don't have to publish on it. We can just say, hey, I like canebrakes. I think they're neat looking. I'm going to count that as a form, and I'm going to go find them. So
exactly.
I guess you can say, well, I found a timber, so I found that species or whatever. But I don't know. I think that variety is what's fun. Yeah.
After seeing the timbers from New England, and then seeing cane from down here, that is a different freaking snake. There's no, they're not even close. They're not even close. Yeah. They're so different. Right. I don't know how people still classify them the same. I don't.
Yeah. I was talking to Jordan, and he's like, I mean, you can kind of, backtrack with taxonomy or whatever, all the way to the individual. Like, every individual is unique, and where do you draw the line of, what fits with what and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And, obviously some things adapt to their environment, maybe in their pattern or their color or, their shape or whatever, but
you would texture, their scales.
Right. Yeah. You'd think so like different. Some of those things would be a bigger deal than they are to, but I don't know. It's the children's python, Stimson's python thing that I'm just, I just can't get on board with. Yeah. I heard Dominique talking about that on his podcast. Don't say Stimsons or children's, or Zoolander will get upset. Yeah.
In North Carolina, do you get kind of the timber phenotype to the west and the canebrake more to the east? Is that how it sort of breaks out, or
Yeah, the habitat is so different. It's so different. Even just from where I am to the coast and from where I am to the mountains, it's like 3 different zones completely. We get a little bit of hills here, but not really anything close to mountain or like even serious hill areas. And then once you get closer to the coast, it's more that like clay, sandy kind of habitat, more like definitely more coastal. And so it's so different. And there, I guess you could say that there's like intergrade zones where they're looking a little bit more like one or the other, especially because like if you look at the distribution map, they're like heavy along the coast, dip around Raleigh and Durham, and then pick back up towards the mountain area. So you get like towards the sandhills in the center, south, you get like a little bit of that intergrade kind of look, I guess. And you'll get some that look more one way or another. But from what I've seen, kind of the ones in the mountains, you get more of that typical timber look. And the ones towards the coast, you get a little bit more of that cane look to them.
Yeah, typically. Fair. And they're not really a sandhill snake, right? They're more of like a marsh around water snake. Even if they're in sandhill habitat, it's going to be kind of the lowest lying portions of that sandhill, right?
From what I've seen, I've only found one since I've been down here, but from what I've seen looking at things, kind of looks like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think in South Carolina, reading the old Caulfield and stuff, that was sort of the description. Diamondbacks will be, in the upper, higher elevation areas within sandhill habitat, whereas the canebrakes and things would be lower, closer to water. As Justin said, similarly, that's one of 3 Croat forms left for me. So, gotta try and get it done.
Old Bobby Pebbles has almost completed the list.
Well, we'll see, right? So we got, the spread from should be easy, should be medium, and should be hard.
Right.
I've actually tried now at this point for all 3, and all 3 are still going begging. But we'll see. See what we can do. So.
Yep, it's a fun little competition, but I think Rob's pulling ahead. He's ahead of everybody. I think is Dustin the closest, or who's the closest to you?
Yeah, you and Dustin.
Are
and
we
maybe
tied?
has one on you.
He might have.
You're
one
either tied
me.
or he might have one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's fun though. All in good fun, right?
Yeah, something to do, man. Right. That's the whole idea. Is ideation around. Okay, what do we do next? So.
Yep.
Yeah. Y'all are light years ahead of me because I've seen I've seen the red pygmies. I've seen a bunch of those. I saw the one cane in North Carolina. I've seen some dusky pygmies down in Florida, and then I guess did say the timber up in Massachusetts. And then the lutosis out by you guys. That's pretty much it. I'm really not. This year, I just got my taxes back, and I'm like, okay, I need to plan this trip to Southeast Arizona so I can see some of those Sky Island stuff. I really need to see Willard Eye.
Yeah.
Bad.
Oh, they're so cool. I think that's my favorite. So freaking cool. I love the Willard Eye.
Easily my favorite. Yeah. Easily. Yeah. Just the bold markings. I love anything that's got contrast, and the contrast between the like darker color and the white markings on them.
Yeah,
does something to me.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I still need. Go ahead. No.
Well, I was going to say the funny thing with those is that all the captive ones that I've ever seen have been pretty placid, and all the wild ones that we've seen have been very willing to put a tooth into you.
Which
has been funny.
Incredible.
Just one of those weird dichotomies. So.
I wonder if that has to do with captive breeding and domestication.
It could be.
What were you gonna say, Justin?
Oh, I just I need a Eastern Diamondback. I'd love to see one of those. They've got kind of that same deal where they're just so contrasty, that the bright white scales on them, and they're really neat looking. So need to make it back out there.
We'll have to figure it out. Have to mix it in. I was just talking to KJ, and that was a good conversation, as always. And certainly brings it to mind, and trying to bring even indigos, man. Short indigos, short-tail snakes, plenty of cool stuff down there. So
for sure. Yeah, the easy one I'm missing is the Southern Pacific. That should be easy to knock out.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised I've never seen one. I've been in the habitat quite a bit, and just bizarre how maybe it's just because I head to the desert, but you'd think I'd have seen one.
I don't know, man.
Really
that one
weird.
was harder for me. Obviously we had a shared trip on that, and then it took us a lot of work on a second trip to get it done.
Right.
That should be easy. And so Northern Pacific, which I know you have, is what should be my easy one. So we'll see if we can't knock that out next month.
Yeah, you should be able to. If you can, I'll give you a spot where we saw 30 in a day. Like they were everywhere. It was crazy. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll be where you were, right? Because you're up in Washington, right?
Well, on between Washington and Oregon, kind of, what is that? The Columbia River Gorge area. Yeah, that's a cool spot. But I'd like to get back there sometime. That'd be fun to herp that area again. But, the disappearing Northern Pacific, where none of us had a snake stick, so we were just like using this towel to kind of brush them off the road. And I swung the towel to get it off, and it disappeared. and then it swung back, and the snake had its fangs sticking in the towel, like, swinging from it. Like, oh god, this is not the best tool for the job. But I got him off without any incident. Like, he kind of let go pretty, on the swing back. Luckily, it wasn't onto my legs or anything like that. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
Snakes, nature's quitters.
He'll let go eventually. Yeah. Snakes, nature's quitters. So I guess what's your favorite thing to find out in your area?
Specifically where I'm at, trying to think of what I would say my favorite thing to find is.
It's like your kids. You just can't pick one, huh?
Well, I think that where I'm at, I don't get as much variety as a lot of other places, right. Especially because like just the pocket around Raleigh and Durham seems to be just pushes things off. I guess copperheads. I love copperheads. They're so freaking cool.
They're neat.
And the ones down here get like a nice kind of pinkish wash to them, which is really nice. It's not like eye grabbing, but it's subtle. Right. If you get them under the right light or like look at them real good, they get a good pink wash on the face, and they usually get a little bit of pink highlights in the sides, like a light pink. So I like finding those. And copperheads are endangered throughout New England, and so they're really hard to find up there. You just don't see them. And down here they're much more common. So I still get super excited whenever I see one. I'm just always excited to see those guys, and they're the only venomous snake I get in my specific area. So I love seeing those. Probably my favorite.
I feel the same about the Great Basin rattlesnakes. They're probably one of the more common species around here, and one of the only venomous species in my area. So, but I still geek out every time I find one and see one. Yep. Hopefully I can locate that den. That'd be a lot of fun to see multiples, a bunch of them in one spot. That's always fun.
I found a little copperhead den in the woods near my house.
Oh, cool.
And it's right next to an elementary school. Like, maybe not, I shouldn't say right next to, because it make it sound like it's like in the parking lot. It's probably a 10-15 minute hike from the parking lot, so it's pretty close to where this elementary school is.
You may expect them to disperse to the elementary, maybe, or do they?
I would be surprised if they caught one on the asphalt every now and again in that area. But there's a couple like maybe February days where it's kind of warm out, not hot, but just warm and sunny, and I just catch them right outside, just sitting right outside of that little rock pile, and then right back in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. They're beautiful snakes. I mean, it's hard to beat that pattern and color. I mean, we saw one in was it Delaware, somewhere up there? And
I was going to ask you, Rob, are the so what you have there? I haven't looked into the Echistrodon very closely in terms of defining forms and things, either by species or by form or whatever. Is what you have, is that the same species / form as what's up in the Northeast, or is it different? And I hate to put you on the spot, but if you have any visibility into sort of, your take on Echistrodon in terms of what's what or how many different things there are or whatever, I'm happy for anything you have.
Yeah, the ones here I believe are considered northern copperheads, just like the ones up in Massachusetts and New England. I have seen a lot of them in Massachusetts, a lot of them. I spent so much time out in the woods out there looking for them, and I found a couple really good spots where I would see them. And I've seen mothers with babies and, all the different stages of them up there. And the ones in New England are definitely darker overall. They typically have a little bit more like spotting in the pattern than the ones down here. They're more like uniform, like wave pattern on them. And the ones up there have more of like a copper, like a darker copper color to them. And the ones down here tend to be lighter tan with a lighter copper color to them. But they are considered the same thing. And I could see how the argument could be made for them being the same thing. They don't look really drastically different like some of the ones that I've seen like pictures of from Florida or, Texas or, elsewhere. So I could see it being, and I think that the Nerodia here, we get like northern water snakes here, and they look really different from the ones in New England. And there's, I think, Midland water snakes in this area too. Like, to me, they look like Midland water snakes. And then a lot of the like old field guides that I've seen, they're like, no, they actually don't occur there. But when I look at it, looks just like a Midland water snake. And those tend to congregate in a lot of the same places with the northern water snakes here. So are they intergrades? Are they, something else? I don't know. But the northern water snakes here look pretty drastically different than the ones that I see in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. Those ones are like a completely separate thing. In my eyes, it's a completely separate thing.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The copperheads is, I can see the argument being made both ways, where it's like they look close enough. If you put two of them together and you had somebody who's knows a little bit about snakes, they'd be like, yeah, those are the same. When you get to people like us, we'd look at it like, is it the same though? Like, they look kind of, the canebrake timber thing, or if you really get down to it, I bet you could see some significant differences in them. But I think that these are more similar than the canes and the timbers. Like, the copperheads are more similar, but
it is fun
to
see that variability. And I mean, Massachusetts, kind of the northern extent of their range anyway, right? Like, that's kind of as far north as they go. It's pretty cool. It's crazy. They have, I never realized their distribution was so huge. They cover a lot of ground.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I still feel like I've missed out on our Texas trips, not having seen a broadband copperhead. I'd like to see some of those too. They're beautiful.
Oh, I'm sweating. I love broadband copperheads so much. Oh.
Yeah. So there's some fun variability, and just I guess is that considered a different species or subspecies?
I think it used to be, but now it's been folded in. Yeah, it's the kind of western variant, or
kind of gone back and forth.
Ooh, tomato.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's certainly as a form, it would be one. The bummer is where Phil and I had gone and actually turned up the our lep. That's supposed to be sort of one of the spots to find one. We also went a week later to where Dustin and Brandon had gone, and without similar success. So I'm right.
They found a couple, didn't they? Didn't they find
just
a couple of them, or they just found one? Okay.
Yeah, it was sitting out on this unassuming hillside, relatively unpleasant, not unpleasant as West Texas can go, but relatively unpleasant hillside.
Well, on INAT, they've got them as separate species. The broadbandeds are Laticinctus, and the
Laticinctus,
yeah.
Well,
the Eastern are Piscivorous. Yeah. Or no, that's cottonmouth. Sorry. Yeah. But they're the Contorctix. Contorctix.
Yeah.
Contortrix. Yeah. The trickies.
Man.
That's cool.
Very good.
You remember the Osage ones? Those like super weird pattern one, and they're like a completely different color. I would love to see some of those things. Those things are so cool. I haven't even seen pictures of those in a hot minute. I saw there was one person that had one, like a captive one, that posted it recently, maybe a year ago. And I was like, where the hell did you get that from? That's freaking cool. But aside from that, I haven't even seen pictures of those in a hot minute. Those are really cool though.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's more like Missouri, Arkansas. Sort of, which is, So that's why I say I haven't really looked at it closely enough to have a defined forms list in the way that I do for the Croats and Sistros and stuff. But at least it makes sense to me. But always happy for input on it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, most def. Yeah, the copperheads here are really nice, but they're not as different as some like the Osage or the broadbands or the Trans-Pecos stuff. That stuff is like very distinctly different.
Right.
And the ones here are pretty, but they're not as different to my eye. That doesn't mean that they're not different.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I love just chatting herping. It's so fun to just hear, different experiences and different spots. And it's nice. You get a herp all year round.
It's amazing. It's so cool. I don't know about a whole lot about birds, so I'm sure that there are cool birds here. I've seen bald eagles nesting, which is pretty neat.
Oh, that's cool.
There's a spot near me that is supposed to have lots of hognose snakes, and so I've gone hard there looking for hognose snakes, and I found copperheads and green snakes and ribbon snakes and black rat snakes and everything besides the hognose snakes. I've seen bald eagles making nests, but no hognose snakes there. Which is a little disheartening. But
I've only found DOR hognose, so I'm pretty frustrated. That's the worst. And I think my daughter might have clipped one. Against my better judgment, I let her drive, and then I'm like, oh, I think that was a snake, and I think you clipped it. And then we went back, and there was this perfect little hognose. I'm like, dang it.
You want to hear something that's almost as bad as that?
What's it?
So we're in New England. I've talked about this on a couple of different podcasts, but in New England, there's no real road cruising for snakes. Like in my life, I had never, besides that black rat snake that got hit in the middle of the road, the only reason I saw it was because it was 4 foot long. So I have never road cruised until I went out to Utah with you guys and did some road cruising. And then moving down here, I've started doing some road cruising. And when I've gone to Florida, I've done some road cruising. Yeah. But when I'm driving, snakes do not register to my eyeballs. I don't know what it is, because if I'm walking on a path, I will see this much of a coil sticking out from underneath some leaves, and I'm like, snake right there. It's right there. I don't care how well camouflaged it is. I'm on it.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times that I've been driving, like road cruising here in North Carolina, and I drive past something. I'm like, I think that was a snake. I turn around, and it's like a 2-foot copperhead, a big one, a huge one in the middle of the road. And I drove right by it. I was like, I think that might have been a snake. I don't know. And so there's been 2 times where one time I was working and one time I wasn't working, but I was driving down the road, and I passed something. And I was like, I think that might have been a snake. It kind of looked like the shape of like a hognose snake. And I was like, nah, it's not a hognose snake. And then the one time when I was working, I circled back and went back, and it wasn't there. And I was like, oh, it was a big melanistic hognose snake, just in the middle of the road, midday, just cruising. And I drove right by it. I was so mad. I was so upset. I was like, oh man, I really got to get better at this, because this is embarrassing now.
It's funny how that works. Like, just your eyes just miss it for some reason. I was getting frustrated. I was out herping in South Australia with Jordan, and he kept like, oh, I think that's a gecko. And we go back and there's a gecko. And I'm like, I didn't see
what
that.
What are you looking at?
How are you seeing these things? And I'm not, but it's a little frustrating sometimes. And I don't know. I think, road cruising definitely has its place, especially depending on where you're at. But I'd much rather find something on the, out in the natural scenery rather than
Me too.
cruising it on a road or flipping it under a piece of tin. Those things have their place for sure. And we were kind of having a little bit of that debate with Pat, because, they have a spot where they're putting some tin out and stuff. And he's like, it's a little easier to find them. Like if you don't even know if they're in the area, and all of a sudden they have this tin site, and it's easy to check and find them, and you see them, then you're like, okay, they're here. Now we can look under rocks or go to greater efforts to, further find others or something. So,
True. It saves you a lot of time. And when it comes to herping, especially if you're going to a destination someplace to herp specifically, you want to see those species. And if you're wasting a whole lot of time, like I think that one of the things for me when I moved to North Carolina, I spent a lot of time when I first moved here, just going to parks and just walking around, just looking at the different habitats and trying to scope out where I think things would be. And I spent so much time looking in this habitat that looks good to me, but never ended up producing anything. And so I spent a lot of time. And if I had, if I was just coming out here for a week and I spent a week in this place where I'm like, it looks like good habitat, and I don't see, I'm going to be so mad. So once you get that stuff dialed in, or if you have a way to get closer to where that specific thing is, it makes it more enjoyable, in my opinion, so that you at least you've got one under your belt.
Yeah, you've got to be able to say you've seen one, and then you can look in other spots for it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see tin being important for like a study site or something, where you're trying to document usage or numbers or something like that. But if you're just herping and you're just going to your tin site and seeing the same stuff, it's like, well, isn't that kind of boring? Like go challenge yourself or find them somewhere else, or I don't know.
That's what the snakes congregate at. Because think about like edge habitat. There's so much edge habitat where snakes just gravitate to. I grew up near an industrial park, and at the back of that industrial park, they were always throwing away like this and throwing that, and there was like a big pile of shingles at the end of this road down there. And when I would go herping, I would go flip rocks in the field next door, and I would go look over here and look over there and flipping slate and doing all this stuff. And I would find some snakes here and there. But you go over to that shingle pile,
trash pile,
milk snake, ringneck snake, garter snake, tons and tons, just so many of them. And so if I had somebody who's visiting and they're like, I only have an afternoon to go look at some stuff, I'm going to be like, hey, let's go to this. I got this shingle pile over here. Go flip a couple things. Guaranteed milk snake, guaranteed ringneck snake, guaranteed garter snake. You're going to see some stuff. And then if we want to walk around afterwards, we can roll our dice and see if they're actually in the spots in the field where I find them. But sometimes you just strike out hard. It's
exactly.
They're going there for a reason. It's not like just for us to find them.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like all the unnatural stuff in the environment is what, you're going to find stuff under, old carpet or mattresses or something like that,
Yep.
Yeah. It's crazy. And
it's also,
go ahead.
Like cover in an area that otherwise, maybe only has subterranean activity, right? So like the plains snakes here in Colorado, where it's like, those boards and things are super productive, probably because if they're, for the most part, not under those boards, they're just underground. And so you have no visibility or accessibility to them at all. And that's probably, I'd imagine the Utah milks is pretty similar to the milks here, in terms of, so if you can, although you have more rocks, right? Because that's how you're normally absent flipping them under artificial cover. You'd be flipping them under rocks and things. And certainly when you're out on the plains, that doesn't really exist. And even the Kansas thing, it's interesting that like everyone's going to those rock formations and things because it kind of has that same function. I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I will also say it was very funny that when Dr. Loafman and his crew were out here 3 years ago, I guess now, looking to do their hognose thing, and he loves garter snakes, and he needs to find vagrants, the local species that's here, same that Justin has, and initially I'd said, sure, they're easy enough to find if you go walk along this creek, and and he was sort of nonplussed at my answer, and then I remembered, there's also actually these two, literally it's just two plywood boards that are at this one spot that was 75 minutes from where he was staying or whatever. But the idea of changing the context from, well, you can walk along this creek where I know I've found them, to I have two boards that almost invariably turn some up. He was like, okay, it's worth it, we're going, we're doing it.
Drive an hour.
Enough, there were like, I think they found 6 or 7 of them underneath the two boards.
Oh yeah.
So crazy how that works sometimes. And I think during certain times of the year, it's really hard to find stuff under cover, under artificial cover, because it's too hot or, just, but I think, those tin stacks where you have multiple layers and they can choose the different temperature, where they want to be and things like that, that's what they look for overwinter sites, places that get down to where they need to get down under the ground and stay a decent temperature. But it's kind of crazy. All right. Well, it's good to catch up a bit, hear about your local herping there and your new spot. And we'll move on to our topic, if that's all right. So I've really been impressed with your posts and things, tickling the chins of different wild snakes and that are normally fairly pugnacious and a little defensive or so. But we wanted to kind of, include some of that talk in this. But so we kind of went with the topic, should you just observe the animals? Like if you spot something, do you just watch it? or do you get in there and pick it up and handle it and check it out, those kind of things. So I thought that'd be a great topic for you, where you got experience doing both, I'm sure. So
yes, yeah. And the way that I herp now is quite a bit different than how I herped when I was younger. So
right. I think
I understand both sides of the coin here.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay, well, we'll flip the coin to see who gets the pleasure of debating you. Go ahead and call it, Rob.
Tails.
Tails. It is tails.
Oh, interesting.
What?
But
we're gonna make it.
With my dog going all, reminiscent of Chuck here. I think I will let you mainly lead the discourse, and then I'll jump in with you guys as appropriate.
All right. So no Rob versus Rob tonight.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead and call it there, Rob. Christian.
Gotcha. I'm gonna say tails again.
It is tails. I'm a double loser. I was a double winner last week and a double loser this week. So which side would you like, to touch or not to touch?
Man, that's tough. I'm gonna go with to touch side. Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
All right. Sounds good. And would you like to lead us out, or do you want to chuck me and have me go first?
I don't mind going first. That's fine.
All right. Yeah. Go for it.
So basically, when you're out herping, there is a huge opportunity for us to learn about the creatures that we're looking for. Specifically, I'm usually looking for snakes, but it doesn't always have to be snakes. There's lots of other cool critters that we can find around. I know that when we're out there, snakes is number one for me, but I still really like finding salamanders and lizards and turtles and all sorts of other stuff too. Definitely. And there's like the personal aspect of, a lot of times I like to try and get my hands on stuff so I can get a good picture of it. Like especially face pictures, I really like getting up close so you can see all the details of the face, especially in different types of snakes and stuff. And to be able to, get your hands on them. And some things you can only understand well when you got your hands on it. I don't know if any of you guys, have you worked with rhino vipers before?
No.
They have the craziest keeled scales you have ever seen. Yeah. It feels... I can't even describe it. It's so unique because of how heavily keeled they are. Yeah. That it's one of those things where you have to have them in your hand to like feel. Right. And I'm not saying free handle them. You should hook and then have your hand on the other side. But the scales are so unique. And so things like that, you would never just even describing it to you. The scales are like raised up. They're so freaking cool. If you get the chance, you should do it. It's really, really cool. The most unique scales of most of the things I've worked with. And I've touched dragon snakes, and those are not even as cool as rhino viper scales. But, getting your hands on things, not only good for, think about young people getting into the hobby. What's most the way they do? Out in their yard, they find a snake, they pick it up, and they're like, "Oh man, look at this thing!" And it tickles something in your primitive brain of excitement and stuff. Something cool is going on right now. And when I was doing education, I had a lot of people who were afraid of snakes, and they'd be like, "I don't know, when I see them, like my heart starts pounding, my skin starts sweating, and my mind starts racing." And I'm like, "Okay, those things can all be framed as fear, absolutely, or your body does almost the exact same thing when you're excited, right? If you're on a roller coaster and you're not going to die, you might be a little bit scared, but you're excited, right? Your heart starts going and all this stuff. So if you think about it, a lot of that is the same. Maybe you're misinterpreting what your body's telling you. Because for me, when I see a snake and my heart starts pounding, I'm like, yeah, let's go. And when my dad sees a snake and his heart starts pounding, it's, I got to go. So,
Fight or flight.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that for a lot of people, especially getting into the hobby as far as reptile keeping, maybe not so much herping, because some people get in and they're like, I just want to observe. That's fine. That's cool. But especially even keeping reptiles, getting your hands on things really builds a relationship with you and that animal, even if it's just a momentary one, like the videos that I've posted over the last summer of me interacting with a lot of water snakes, where I go up to them and instead of like grabbing them, like most people would do.
Yeah.
I have actually
Top-down
adopted
predator style, right?
Exactly. That just the way to make sure that they hate you, like, or are terrified of you. They're like, I'm going to come right over the top and grab this thing right in the middle, right where it's, sensitive,
vulnerable, right?
Yeah. Where it can't get away. And so, the snake panics and it's freaking out, and you're excited because you got your thing, but that interaction is no longer a positive one for half of the participants. So what I've been doing over the last year is taking a slower approach. And when I find wild snakes, I will get down close to their level, and then I'll slowly inch my hand closer and closer and closer to the front of their face. And that's something that I learned from working with monitor lizards, that even if you've got really confident monitors that are fairly well socialized, if you come towards the front of their body, they're confident. They're like, oh, something's approaching me right now. It's not trying to attack me. Very, confident. It builds confidence in them. But if you come from the back and try to grab their tail or their back legs or an area that's not close to their head, even really confident animals will react defensively. Because it's that natural. Like if someone walks up to you and they go, hey, they extend their hand and they put it out and they say, hey, how are you doing today? Cool. If somebody walks up behind you and gooses you, grabs your butt, you're like, it's a different interaction then. So there's different ways of touching things and interacting with the world. But what I've been doing is just kind of getting down to their level. And I've done it with so many, from big adult northern water snakes down to juvenile queen snakes, green snakes, garter snakes, black rat snakes, and giving them the option of the interaction. And I've had there was a 3.5 foot black rat snake that I saw coming up to a dirt road that I was walking down. And I got down on the ground and I sat down on the ground and it stopped, and then it started tongue flicking, and then started coming a little bit closer to me, a little bit closer. And I put my hand out and it literally came up to my hand and was tongue flicking my hand. And then after a minute, it was like, I don't know about that. So it turned around and started going. And I put my hand in front of it again, and it slithered right over my hand. And then I was able to pick it up. And it didn't panic at all. It was just like, oh, I guess I'm in the air now, And it just cruised up, and I let it crawl over my shoulder, and then it went down, and I just let it go. And so having an interaction with animals like that it's so cool. It's so unique. And I have found a lot of joy in that. And I feel like a lot of people, when they make that connection of picking up a snake or picking up a lizard or getting to look at it up close, it's a little bit different of an experience for them. And it creates that connection in our primitive monkey brain of there's something going on here and I need to know more about it. We're naturally curious creatures, and getting to interact in that way builds more of that connection. That's why I think it's really important for people to do educational programs and to get snakes into people's hands and get people to pet tortoises and to see them in person, because it's one of Steve Irwin's big things. It's you see the thing, a million miles away and it's a creature over there. But if you can get it up close with people, if you can build that connection with them, they want to know more about it. They want to save it. They're invested in that creature. And I think that's one of the major things that's missing from our society now, is we're so far removed from nature. And I'm not saying every single person should be out there and pick up a snake that they find on the ground. But I think that a lot of people would be better off if they did go out there and interact with a little bit of nature and build some of that connection with the world around us. We're so far detached that I think that a lot of people need it now. And so I'll opening argument, I'll leave it there.
No, I think that's some great points. And I really, I think, you demonstrating that behavior and having people see that and see that, snakes aren't just waiting and lying in wait to bite us or to grab us or whatever. I think the media has done a disservice. Even some of the wildlife programming has done a disservice, making it oh, danger, everything's dangerous. And, and obviously you need to respect, and be cautious around a venomous snake, of course. But my good friend posted a picture of a Western Diamondback that he came across on his run, and he said he just gave it a wide berth and kept moving, and the snake just stood its ground and stayed there, but everybody, like, it seemed like the majority of the commenters were like, oh man, see, that's why I don't go running, or that's why I don't go into the hills, or it's like they just have this misperception that the snakes are just waiting to grab them, so I think that's very valuable, first off, to demonstrate that behavior. And frankly, I mean, if you are scared of a snake, if you sit and watch it, you sit and look at it, you're going to see that it's not a scary, evil creature that's out for blood and, death and destruction. And you'll watch it probably move away from you, or, and I guess that was maybe one thing that kind of came to mind, is if you're building these relationships with snakes, as the next person that comes along, if they're going to be like, oh, here's this, I recognize this shape, this is last time I got my chin tickled, and then this time he's coming at me with a shovel. What the heck?
A shovel, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think snakes, have that in them, that something coming over them is probably a predator or a danger to them, and so they're either going to defend themselves or flee, and usually it's flee, that's for the most part. So and a lot of times snakes are hard to detect, so you're alerted to them either because the rattlesnake rattles because you're too close, or you see something moving through the brush, or you hear it slithering or away, and you try to. So there's been times where I've been out herping and I'll find like a gopher snake out on the crawl, and I'll just sit and watch what it does, and just kind of enjoy seeing it go about its daily routine. Now, I mean, if you come upon like a rattlesnake coiled up just sunning itself, it's probably not going to be that entertaining to sit and watch that. Maybe it'll do something cool, or maybe it'll, you'll notice, oh, there's another one right there. Oh, I'm at a den site or something like that, So there are some cool things that you can maybe observe without disturbing the animals. And I think there's another level to that too, where you can see they're going to do things differently if they don't think, something's coming towards them or advancing on them. They might be more normal behaviors if they don't realize that even anything's there watching them, kind of thing. So that's easier said than done. You really have to, be lucky to spot something before it spots you in a lot of ways, because snakes are so good at camouflage and hiding. And maybe, lizards would be a more germane subject for sitting and watching. I think one of the biggest thrills of my life was sitting and watching a Kimberly rock monitor just cruise across the rocks. He's going through the valley, and he didn't seem too bothered by my presence. I was kind of filming him and getting up as close as I could without spooking him. But yeah, he just did his thing. Didn't I probably could have easily reached out and grabbed him, but then what's he gonna do? Then I get him in hand, he's gonna be stressed, he's gonna be freaking out, and then when I release him, he's probably gonna go shoot off to a secure place. But this way I got to sit and watch him for minutes, while he did his thing, went and hunted. And my friend that told me how to find him this way, he's watched him catch frogs and eat frogs in like this little area. Yeah, just like cool behaviors. Like, I didn't realize Kimberly rock monitors ate frogs. Like, that's kind of a new thing to me, I knew they, chased lizards and bugs and stuff, but frogs, that was kind of an interesting thing. And he's got a video of this one hunting a frog in the leaf litter. Is pretty cool. So, if he would have just ran over and grabbed the lizard, he never would have seen that behavior. He wouldn't have been able to observe that. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's overlap, and I think as I get older, and especially if I've seen the species many times, there's less of an inclination to run over and pick it up or interact with it that way. It's more of an inclination to kind of sit back and just see what it's doing, see where it's headed or where it's going, And if you're finding something, snake moving in the day, it's probably headed somewhere, so you could potentially learn something.
Important snake meetings.
Right.
I think you really hit the nail on the head with that point, though, Justin. Is it's a lot easier to be calm and laid back when it's not a life or animal that you fully anticipate to bolt, right?
Right.
And much like, part of it is the context too, right? If we're talking about cruising something or flipping something, then there really isn't the opportunity to do that because its natural response is going to be to bolt anyway.
Well, and our natural response is get it off the road before it gets hit.
Exactly right. Yeah. Or even, in the context of the Kimbos, right, it's a distinction there between the Mitchellii that we saw that very obviously did not have despite being probably more habituated, in terms of seeing more people on a regular basis, those things were very skittish and giving you the classic monitor response of a second you look away, that's when they're going to make their move. They're going to freeze, wait for you to look away, and then bolt, So it'd be really hard to see them engaging in natural activities for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely think there's a species specific context to all of this as well. Some snakes are under rocks. You're not going to see them unless you lift up the rock and look underneath, unless you get really lucky and they're out on the crawl. But that's for every, 50 milk snakes, you might see one on the crawl versus one, the other 49 under rocks. And so, you're not going to see many if you're just looking to have that interaction out in the open like that. But.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending on how you see them as well, it calls to mind the first eastern coral snake that I saw where, I'm hiking and hiked up to it and it's on the move. And so then we're kind of that simultaneous movement doesn't really facilitate that either because it's giving a defensive response to run from me. And then it's seeking, cover and then a hole, right. And to be gone, right. Because I had sort of startled it as it was moving. There was it's kind of that ideal situation with the glowered eye where you have where to look, you have visibility to do it. It's a species that's really resilient to that, right? Is willing to engage in natural behavior with human presence, at a distance, but nevertheless, right? Globopalma very clearly are not, as we saw ultimately.
Yeah. You might luck out and get the one like Matt teaching.
Right, but that seems a one of one from our experience.
Right. Yeah, it's I think didn't Brother Nature
stop just making me feel worse, man.
Beagle? Yeah. He found that one that just sat and posed for him and stuff. Yeah,
I can't believe it, man. After our experience with him,
right? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I guess if they're in an area where people are trying to grab them or check them out or something, then maybe they're going to be a little more wary. Whereas if you're in a more remote area, might be like more curious, like what is that thing? I've never seen one of those. I'm gonna go check that out instead of running away from it.
Yeah.
And definitely species to species, you're going to have better luck, watching and observing certain species versus others. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah,
I agree.
And even, just the weather too, right? So that like, I'm imagining, Coluber or Masticophis those probably would be some of the most engaging critters to watch if you could time it up right so that they're just sort of they're exhibiting their natural behaviors. There's no flight response. They're super smart, super interactive with their environment. Simultaneously, most of the contexts where you're going to see them, you'll never get that experience because they're going to bolt from you and just be gone. So it's kind of maybe there's a 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, whatever that What is it? 70% of the time, people are convinced when you make up a number. It's some infinitesimally small percentage of the time where you could have the most amazing experience possible, where you get to see it engaging with its environment. But for the most part, it means you're just not going to see anything.
Right.
Yeah. But some of those species, if you want to photograph them, you got to get your hands on them. That's all I'm saying.
That does seem to be kind of the main way we interact with reptiles in this day and age. You're finding stuff and you have to take a picture. If you didn't take a picture, it didn't happen.
Did you actually find it? Or
right. Exactly. You got to share it on social media and get the likes and you get those clicks. Got to get them clicks. But I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, and it is cool to see what other people have found, and you're not getting that if you're not taking pictures of them, So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that if you can get your hands on stuff, it makes getting pictures of a lot of different species quite a bit easier. And then that also has a downside too, because you get some people who just like pick them up and wear them out real good, you know, for a lot of these species, and then they're stressing the animal out, and they got the picture, but at what cost? That animal is exhausted now, wasted a whole bunch of resources and energy that it probably didn't need to for a picture on social media. Come on.
Yeah. I've heard of some people posing them to death where they just keep, they overstay their welcome and interact with them too long and keep them and basically cook them. They're just out and they just wear out, and all of a sudden they are no more. So you've done a disservice by that kind of thing. And you can get a little overzealous and with your timing, but
a real Pine Barren Street there.
Exactly. You can interact with them a little longer than some people think, but but be wary of that. Be cautious of overheating them and wearing them out.
Right. I do think that's one of the big factors, right? So we had seen a gould eye up in the Northern Territory on our second trip over there, and you could tell. And so it was a hot morning. It was sitting on the road, and then we had gone over and caught it off the road. But we're posing it right off, and it was in direct sun and things, and you could tell it within 60 seconds. It was holding its mouth open, and it was like, okay, well that's it, we're done here. And let it run off, and it actually ran up halfway, 5-6 foot up a tree, and stopped and posed out, and it was really beautiful. Able to take pictures there, but it was in that shade. But it was amazing how quickly it was overheating, right? Just when you're talking about NT, NT mid full sun.
Doesn't take long.
Not long at all.
I've been very overheated out there. It's how warm it is.
True. I mean, as far as like getting your hands on stuff, one of the things that I've seen people do too, I've only done this maybe a couple times. You find a snake that's or a creature that's fairly dehydrated, and then give them a little bit of water. Really interesting just to watch them guzzle down some water out of a little bottle cap or something, and some people would argue you're supposed to just let nature take its course, and then I don't know where we fall on that one. So I think that one of the other things that I've seen that you probably wouldn't get a good handle on if you don't like pick the creature up to take a look at them is some of the like ailments or things that are potentially wrong with them. Like snake fungal disease is something that is prominent, at least in the eastern side of the U.S. I know it's kind of into the Midwest as well. But several of the snakes that I've found during winter time have had SFD. Or I suspect that they had SFD. I didn't swab them or anything,
Have some
patchy skin, stuck shed on them, and out basking when it's 38 degrees out, and when no other creatures are out there doing that. And so if I like one of them, I thought it was like fine, totally fine, but it was a cold day. And I photographed it before I picked it up, and then I pick it up, and I'm like, all around the cloaca is all swollen, and it's like got sores on it, and shed skin from about an inch past the cloaca all the way down to the end of the tail is all stuck there, and if I hadn't moved that snake, if I just let it sit there, I probably would have never known that was going on. And so getting your hands on and be able to do a thorough inspection on them can definitely help figure out, or at least get a feel for if something serious like SFD is happening, or if they've got old injuries on them, or things like that.
Or ticks, remove a tick or two.
Ticks. Yeah. In all my years of finding snakes, there's only been maybe a handful of times where I found snakes that actually have ticks on them. I've gotten ticks on me a lot looking for snakes, but on the snakes themselves, I've not seen a ton of them.
Right. Yeah. I've removed a few, ticks from wild reptiles. Monitor lizards have, they usually have a tick or two on them, and some of the snakes out in Australia, but yeah, it's a little more rare here. I haven't noticed it too much here. Yeah, I wonder why. But I mean, there's not as many ticks out here anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't know. In Massachusetts, if you walk near grass, you got ticks on you.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people tell me that North Carolina's bad with them, but I've only found ticks on me a couple times while I'm out hiking out here. It's not a super regular thing that I see.
Yeah.
But I'm very paranoid about it because I used to get them on me all the time when I was in Massachusetts out looking for copperheads or black racers and stuff. You go anywhere near some long grass and you got 3 or 4 ticks on you.
Right. Well, that said, I was out, this weekend herping, and I was getting in my car, and I look over, and there's a tick crawling right on my shoulder, like a pretty good sized one. So, yeah, they must be out moving in March with the warm weather. But yeah, I was like, crap. Now I gotta check more thoroughly when I get home, and now I feel like they're crawling all over me. I'm itchy. And that wonderful feeling when you. Yeah,
I guess. Well, after our Northeast trip, right? It's funny you mention that because we always kind of frame it as ticks being relatively rare out here, but then we had really dug into the what are chiggers, right? And how Utah had 53 is like the most speciose state for chiggers. It's got 53, 54. Yeah,
so crazy,
which is wild, right?
Like,
Yeah, we got heavily into them based on heavy exposure in the Pine Barrens. So.
Well, and when we were
in southeast Utah, into Colorado, southwest Colorado. Yeah.
You're just like kind of leaning your arm on the ground or against the dirt or something, and you got all these little like chiggers and on your arm. It's kind of crazy. They whatever bit your arm or
they dissolve your skin from the inside or the outside in, and as soon as they're on you, you're done.
So I always wondered, like, what is that? What's doing? Am I like, there's like some kind of stickers or something, some kind of plant that's annoying my arm? But it was most likely chiggers. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, Rob told me that, and I'm like, wait a second, Utah has a high number of species of chiggers. Crazy to think. Yeah.
So you're trying to get all of those on your list.
Well, that's probably a natural consequence. Maybe is the answer.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, conversely, like when you're handling and finding things, if they do have some sort of disease, especially if you're not able to detect it, you might be unwittingly spreading that if you're going to the next site and grabbing an animal.
True.
That's a lot of how chytrid spread to a lot of areas because the scientists didn't realize they were tracking it in on their boot, and they were the vector for chytrid to spread through, and and then the clawed frogs were another.
Yeah, the xenophis,
they were releasing those because they were using them as pregnancy tests, and then they'd release them into the environment, and then now they're spreading chytrid to different areas. So, I mean, knowledge is good, and but there's something like we can't blame them. They didn't know what they were doing. They were trying to solve the problem or figure out what was happening. Why these amphibians were disappearing, and at the same time they're spreading it to different areas, which is kind of crazy.
It was us.
Yeah. And it's weird to think like how these things are taking hold where they weren't there. It's like, what is going on? How is the environment not fighting back, or I guess it's just too devastating an insult. They just can't overcome it through evolutionary processes or whatever. They just die out, and I guess that's the history of our planet, right? Lots of
we're just seeing it in a way that usually it's sort of we've seen the 10,000 years on at least or whatever view,
right? So. But I wonder if you could go back and learn how many species actually died because of some infection or some outbreak, and all of a sudden it just decimates the population to the point of no return or something. Who knows? Like usually nature has that balance, where some are going to die, but the most survive, and they can move on, or there's this arms race, between your immune system and the bugs, and sometimes the bugs win, and sometimes you clear the bugs, or they find that homeostasis where they don't kill you, but they can infect you and make more of themselves, kind of thing. But kind of crazy.
Well, so I guess from Rob's thing. Right, that our lifer eastern milk snake fell into the same box of what he was describing. It wasn't probably quite as symptomatic as what he was describing, right? But in terms of, so we had flipped this one over in the Pine Barrens, and we're photographing into things, and it was only sort of maybe halfway through that it became, hold on, is this thing quite right? You know, and then to the point that Justin was making of like, okay, now we got to make sure that we're, you know, kind of bleach wiping our hands and
everything.
The little,
the hooks and
the hooks, the cup, you know, that's all those different little things.
Yeah.
It was good that we, you know, sort of discovered that instead of just kind of proceeding about our day.
Right. Yeah. Maybe bring a little, you know, athlete's foot powder with you, dust your equipment or your hands or something. I don't know. I wonder if that would be effective. You know, I guess I did ask. So there was a researcher that came and spoke at our university, and they were talking about snake fungal disease and you know, how, and I was asking like, well, how do you disinfect? You know, is like alcohol, 70% ethanol or something a good way to disinfect? And they seem to think that would be reasonable, you know, especially if it's just surface. And it seemed like it's a little harder to transmit. They weren't even sure if you would transmit it, you know, handling and then going on to the next animal and handling that. If it's still kind of hard to say. We don't have all the knowledge, and you know, that makes it a little tricky. But you know, better safe than sorry, I would say. You know,
I agree.
Yeah, even to the point if you see something that's obviously snake fungal disease, maybe don't pick that one up. You know, if you can help yourself. Yeah. But obviously we wanted to handle our life or milk snake. Milk, you know, we weren't going to pass up that opportunity, but we did take the precautions afterwards to kind of try to disinfect our hands.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And since then I have seen, I saw a black rat snake that very clearly had some SFD going on. And that's one where I did not touch it. I filmed it where it was at because it was like climbing up some vines. And so I got some good footage of it, but I was not inclined to touch that one. And I was like, you know, there's a lot of snakes in this area. I would like to maybe touch some other snakes today, and I don't want to have to worry about having that all over my hands or my phone or all the different things. So I think that it has its place, and in general, I tend to err on the side of checking things out and getting a little bit closer look to it. But I also see the value, and there's situations where you're not going to be touching everything. We're getting close to spring salamander migration out here, so I'm waiting for a good rain and for it to be above 60 degrees in the evening time so I can go looking for some. There's a big migration of spotted salamanders out in the area where I'm at.
Cool.
And so I love going out and checking those guys out. And you see them, it's like a 6 or 7, 8-inch salamander crawling across the road. And getting out and helping those guys across the road. I love that. It's so cool. It's so cool. Awesome. And that's one of the few times where I'm like, I gotta touch it. I gotta go grab it, because usually when I see salamanders and I flip them and stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna scoot you out of the way so that you don't get crushed when I put the log back. But I'm not gonna pick you up or touch you because of the oils on her skin and all that.
That's, I guess that's another point, you know, of like, if you're to be aware of, if you're handling amphibians, sometimes our, the oils or the, on our hands can be irritating or
detrimental,
potentially detrimental to their skin. And so, having a pair of plastic gloves or something, that you can keep them safe from your skin, I guess. And
exactly.
Advisable.
Well, for a lot of the places where I find spotted salamanders now, I'll grab like a big oak leaf and I just like scoop them up into it. Make a little burrito out of them and then pop them out over here.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
An amphiburrito, But
a good way to do it.
I think that it's really easy to get excited for stuff if you can get your hands on it. I know that finding rattlesnakes when I was out with you guys out in Utah, I'm like, oh man, I want to scoop it up with a hook. I want to interact with it. I want to check it out. And it's definitely harder for me when I see something that I'm really excited about to be like, I'm just gonna watch it from over here.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing that occurred to me, right, kind of as the conversation was going, is, and maybe it is a function of being, not that we don't all appreciate, again, other amphibians, lizards. I think it's groups that are more compelling in this way. That like lizards, that's compelling, right, for the most part. And they're, other than the Machida and our Globopalma, they're probably pretty willing to engage in activity. I was thinking when we'd gone with Robert and family to the Poconos, right, and there's a particular crack by a waterfall that was just full of eastern milk snakes and northern water snakes and all these things. And for the most part, snakes just, particularly in that context where they're tucked into this crack, they're just sitting there waiting for us to walk away. They're not exhibiting their behavior is solely having, being within the crevice and trying to expand their bodies so that there's no possible way that you're going to pull them out. But that's all that they're doing, all that they are going to do. And so that's not necessarily, that's cool behavior and it's cool to see them. But it's in some ways not as compelling as sort of what the vision I have in my mind of watching a big coach whip navigate the landscape, or a glowered eye be cruising the rocks, or a Globopalma that just walks up to you, or even I was thinking of the Mertens, right, in the the one, there's a big male that almost climbed down. It was just like, those are like semi-tame ones that, that are in that park. But yeah, I think that's part of it too, right? So as mostly snake guys, I think maybe there's something to, we need to up the interaction, because for the most part, as we see in the captive context, right, what do snakes mostly do? They mostly sit around.
Right.
This, a lot of this, a whole lot of this.
Yeah, definitely a lot less compelling to sit and watch something sit for 3 or 4 hours,
Sit and watch the ambush predator sitting, waiting for something to happen.
Poke him with a stick. Come on, do something. Do something.
What? You can catch it ambushing something.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's, especially for pythons or, other ambush predators, versus a coach whip or a, racer or something that's out moving and hunting actively during the day. Yeah, it's definitely a different thing. But
or even being properly ambushed. I'm thinking of that roughy, the picture of the roughy where it's hanging down, and it totally makes sense, their color pattern, and they have ability to change, right, day to night and things, but it just looks amazing in that as its S-curve down, head down, right in the, I was listening to Matt Somerville was on with, is it Joe Mack? Is that his name? Out of Australia.
What podcasts were they on, or what?
So it's his, Joe Mack. It's Under the Heat Lamp with Joe Mack. So Matt Somerville was just on there, and he talked about watching, finding green pythons and seeing them at night. And then
going back to that tree,
going back to it during the day to see them where they go up during the day, and then seeing them as they come back down at night, seeing their movement across those patterns. But he was noticing that they would essentially come all the way to the ground, fully stretched out, and then they would back up, so that they're sizing up the distance from the ground that they need to be, so they actually calculate how far they need to be when they're curled up, to have that strike distance. Yeah, it's truly amazing, right? So that's the sort of absolutely don't be grabbing that thing because you want to see that, even just that understanding, right? That it's not random. It's not random chance that they're perfectly aligned to smack the rodent that runs along that tree fall or whatever it is.
Right.
It's that, no, they actually crawled all the way down and then they backed up into the position that they're sitting in, knowing that they're perfect distance to nail into it.
Right. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That is really cool. And I think, there might be some options to make that a viable thing, like the rattlesnake cams, where they have them focused on a den and you can watch them doing they might not move for a few hours, but if you have it kind of set to record, you can go back and find when they're moving or when they're doing something interesting. And I've done that in my reptile room where I have a camera focused on the Egernia cages. So when the Depressa move, and I actually caught them mating the other day. Well, it was kind of a cool thing. So I can sit in my at work and put it off to the side, and if something moves, then it triggers the camera to kind of record the event, and so I can go back and either watch them live or I can go back and see when something was moving, it recorded that little segment. So it's kind of a neat thing. So I guess that might it might be a little more difficult in the context of stuff out in the wild, but obviously they do that with bird cams at feeders, and if you are a den site or something like that, you could put out a trail cam, and something moves past it and you can see what's moving. I think who's the guy out east that does the timber stuff? He's
Mark Lauderhan. I was just about to ask if you guys have seen his stuff. It's so cool.
Exactly. He's got so many cool behaviors and interesting observations. And he sets up cameras, right? And watches them from, So that might be the answer to, how to deal with these ambush predators. And, some great footage on some of the, Planet Earth or something, or where I think it was Planet Earth, where they're watching a rattlesnake set up ambush and they trying to film a successful predation event, and watching lots and lots of footage to catch that one event where they actually grab something
once every 6 month thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So maybe something like that might be more of a reality these days with the expanded availability of these cameras that have battery life and can sit out on the trail for a long time, capture some cool things. Yeah, it's pretty.
And while we're there, he was just on the Snake Talk podcast within the last handful of months, and that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Talking about those, and mostly it was focused on the weasels that are coming in while they're overwintering and pulling them out and stuff, which is wild.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Crazy. Yeah, you never know that was happening. That's so crazy.
Because the same one, or is there like a
population that's learned?
These weasels that they can do that.
Right?
Truly.
Yeah, because there was
really savage. Yeah,
it was like dolphins that would go and make it like a net of mud. They'd kick up the mud and make this net, or like the orcas that go hunt in the, go up on the beach and grab a baby seal or whatever, like that they've, and those are the only populations that do that thing.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see, but kind of crazy.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if you knew where like a green tree python was setting up, and you could put a camera and everybody in the world could watch this green tree python come down and set up ambush and then go back up the tree in the morning. That would be really cool to see.
That would be really cool. I would definitely tune into that.
Yeah, we got to get Matt on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, well, and while it's I don't mean to disrupt the fight or whatever, but Rob, I know you had made mention, and I know it's been a thing that you've done without, I know there's a lot of politics and things behind it, but if you want to talk about your own looking for timbers in New England in any way that you feel comfortable, I'd be happy to hear it, man.
Yeah. I was not very successful finding timbers in New England. I found one. I found it twice, like a couple weeks apart.
Right.
But I only found one. I found way more copperheads when I was up there than timbers. But yeah, they are elusive, very, very elusive creatures up there, and you can't touch them because it's illegal. And the wildlife officers are very serious about the timbers and the copperheads up there. They're like, you look at them too close and we'll arrest you. So I was not anywhere close to those guys. I did find them twice, which is really cool. And one time I was with the guy who was doing some research with the state on them, and he was actually able to pin it, and he had some nail polish, polished the end of the tail so that we could identify, or not we, but so that they could identify it in the future if they do find it, so they could track it and see where he goes and all this sort of stuff. Because I'm pretty sure they were doing some telemetry stuff with some of them, but not all of them, because it is still a decent population up there. And so that's how I know that I found the same one, because I went to like a similar area, and it wasn't the same area, but it was like, maybe 100 yards away, and coiled up in a very similar area. And I was like, oh, there's some nail polish. Like I saw a snake first, and then I saw the nail polish afterwards. I was like, oh, that's the same snake that I saw a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. But, so they're really reduced populations, and then also is it largely also an access question? So that's really fragmented habitat, a lot of persecution, the historical persecution, and okay. Yeah, really fragmented habitat. There's only certain, they basically stick pretty close to their dens. I think I don't want to speak out of like just making, I want to say they usually stay within like 5 miles of their den site typically throughout the summertime, because
summer is so short in New England. They don't have a whole lot of time to go out and be moving all over the place.
Do they tend to be darker up there as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the one that I found was like almost black. He was so cool. So cool. And a lot, but you do get the yellow phase ones up there as well, but they're not as light yellow as like the canes are. They're still like a deep kind of coppery, dark tan color to them.
Okay.
So
that's so cool. They're such a beautiful species too. Like,
oh yeah,
all the looks. Yeah, I love those dark ones though. They're so neat looking.
They're incredible. They're really, really cool.
Right.
If you are ever up in Boston and you want to see some without having to go out hiking for them, the Museum of Science in downtown Boston has a few on display, and it's in an area where it's free to see, so you don't have to pay for a ticket. You can just walk over. There's like a specific stairwell. You kind of pass the ticket booth, go down to the stairwell, and they have a little science learning center area where it's got floor-to-ceiling glass windows, and they have a couple timbers on display, eastern box turtle and a couple other native species, and sometimes they have some exotic stuff down there too, but they have a couple of those early black timbers on display, so you can see them fairly close.
Yeah. And I think, that's definitely an option for viewing reptiles, in a captive setting and, in a zoo type thing. I know when I was at Reptile Gardens, Terry was showing me I think it was either a rhino or a gaboon viper, and they would you could see their eyeballs move and do this little twisting, and then they'd do their little head what's
rhino vipers.
Yeah.
Do that. It's
really
so
interesting
cool
behavior. You might miss that if you come upon a wild one or something, but if you have them in a captive setting, you can see some of those behaviors potentially that you might miss.
I don't know, because if you walk in the room, they start doing it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's so cool. We had a rhino set up in the event room at Nerd, and so sometimes I would just go in there to look at it. I walk in the door, and then all of a sudden it's doing the little head twitch.
Right.
And you walk a little bit over, and it's following you with its eye.
Yeah.
And another minute later, doing a little head twitch. So cool.
It's really cool behaviors, seeing that. Yeah. And I was I had some Hosmer's skinks, Igurnia hosmeri born, and I was feeding them, and all of a sudden I look over, and one of them's got its hand up in the air, waving its hand, and then grabs the cricket with its mouth, like it's distracting the cricket or something like that. It was really crazy. Yeah. And he was and they would only do it when they were hunting. It wasn't like a signaling to their, clutch mates or whatever, their litter mates, but they would do that when they were chasing down a cricket. They do this little hand motion, kind of like I do when I'm trying to catch a lizard. You distract it with one hand and grab with the other one, and so that kind of thing. But it was really crazy, and I don't know if that's been observed in the wild or that would be harder to see outside of a captive setting. Oh, the other thing that you brought up and needs to be made mention of is some places it's illegal to touch stuff, so and people have been fined hefty fines for grabbing the wrong thing. The twin spot rattlesnakes, somebody like, hey, I found one, and then all of a sudden this
wildlife officer comes down,
emerges out of the bushes and goes, here's your fine, $5,000. Oh, thank you, that's great. I don't know how many herpers would just be like, oh, $5,000, that's no big deal, I'll take that ticket. It's a serious fine. So
somehow
know the laws.
Between that feeling and herping is very small.
Right. Yeah. We're not birders here. We don't.
Yeah. Right.
But definitely be aware of local laws, especially when you're out herping. And even when, I don't know, so many Australians are posting videos of them catching stuff and holding stuff. And then, I've heard of people, what's her name that was over? Corey Martin was over in Australia, and somebody had said, "Oh, I saw those guys picking stuff up, and they've captured them or whatever." So the officers pulled them over, searched the van, confiscated their phones and like memory cards to their cameras and all this stuff. And she never got, the last I talked to her, she hadn't got it back. And it's like, oh my goodness, it's ridiculous, So you definitely need to be aware of those things. And I mean, she thought they were safe because they were with a tour and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it didn't stop the police from confiscating all these phones and memory cards. Like, golly,
that's wild.
So yeah, be aware. And what, the real Tarzan, he got booted from the country, I think, for picking up a freshwater crocodile, and filming himself catching it and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, me and a buddy did the same thing. I was like, it wasn't the same thing, but it was
not quite
similar.
The same.
Yeah, not quite. We were a little more respectful, but yeah. But I mean, he picked it up, and I got to have a wanker shot, and then we let it go real quick, But yeah, probably technically illegal, not something I should be doing or saying on a podcast. But.
I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. But...
I mean, I already posted pictures of it, so. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's so much of that that's done anyway, and it's hard. It's impossible to enforce the law. I mean, they just don't have enough officers to go around trying to find people out in the middle of nowhere picking up a freshwater crocodile. We walked miles in this
for
dry
2 seconds
riverbed,
to put it back down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so and it was a smaller one. It wasn't too huge, and it wasn't difficult. We weren't chasing around or trying to corral it or anything like that. It was just like opportunity kind of came and picked it up for a second, put it back down, kind of thing. But yeah, still, if I would have got caught, I probably would have got fined. So there's all sorts of things like that. So yeah, and just because the majority of people are not getting caught, that doesn't mean you're not going to get caught. They might try to make an example out of you, and that's definitely within their rights.
Be the example.
Yeah, and the other thing that's disconcerting is kind of the entrapment that some officers have used, like putting their pet Gila monster on the side of the road and trying to entice you to get out and move it off the road, like you're just doing a service, trying to stop the animal from getting run over, and they're going to pop out of the woods and give you a ticket. So, be aware of these things, be aware of the laws, and don't pick stuff up that you're technically not supposed to pick up if you can help yourself. I know that's hard, but yeah, be careful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go.
Maybe the other thing too would be, handling venomous reptiles. I mean, I was out herping in Southern California, and I rode up, and there were some other guys, on the side of the road, and I pulled up, and this one guy's free handling a sidewinder. And I'm like, you've got a sidewinder in your hands. I'm like, have a good night. I'm out of here. I'm
out of here. I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be associated with this kind of nonsense. So, and then if one of them were to get bit, I'm guaranteed they're going to the hospital, getting antivenom and that kind of thing. So they're plugging up the system where somebody that might need it legitimately, that was out hiking and got bit on accident, rather than being stupid and free handling a snake. That's how laws get enacted, and those kind of things. So be smart. Yeah, don't just free handle.
We even saw the same thing on the subsequent Southern California trip, where, although it was with a speckled rattlesnake, where they were trying to do the hat trick on the side of the road with the little speck, and it was just like, all right, dude, this is the coming up on the fourth one or whatever. We'd seen that, we had found 3, and then this is a 4th, and it's like, we definitely don't need to be hanging out while this is happening, man.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It's like a Tiger King.
Yeah.
You just saw some disaster happen right in front of your eyes. You're like,
right.
I can't be here for this.
Yeah. Behave as though you want other herpers to respect you, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess some people are contrarians no matter what, but
yeah, pretty much, unfortunately.
Be smart.
Yeah. I'll say on the tick of like the side of interacting and to get hands on stuff.
Yeah,
can't do research without getting your hands on it. I mean, you can do probably some aspect of research, but if you really want to get numbers of weights and body condition and length, all that sort of stuff, you really do have to get your hands on them and and a lot of valuable data is taken from that sort of thing.
Yeah. We got lucky when we found our life for Eastern Massasauga in Western Pennsylvania. We got to be basically involved in a scientific study after that, and they tubed it. I got to inject a pit tag under the skin, that it was pretty cool. And we kind of horned in on a class. So thanks to them for letting us do that. But the field biologist or the park ranger there was really nice. He's like, yeah, you're welcome to join us. And then I noticed he was letting them kind of tromp through the undergrowth looking for Massasaugas. I'm like, I'm in, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. So I got lucky. I was the one that spotted it. I'm like, hey, here's one. It was pretty exciting.
That's why you guys let me hang out.
Yeah, exactly. And then he hooked it into a bag and took it over into the pavilion in the shade, and we tubed it, and so everybody could kind of feel the skin, and same kind of thing, like feel those keeled scales on like the Crotalus have, and or I guess this was not a Crotalus, it was Cistrus, but you don't often get a handle feel the scales of a rattlesnake, so it's pretty cool. And weighed it, measured the length, all that kind of stuff, and again put in a pit tag so they could record data later if they found that same animal. So pretty cool. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Is now a study animal. They didn't find the tags or a pit tag in there.
They'd scanned it before.
Yeah, they'd scanned it.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of cool. Thinking we got a new study animal for the site. So
cool.
Speaking of Cistrus, Rob, you had an epic trip last year was that last year or 2 years ago that you made me exceedingly jealous?
Oh yeah, let's hear about it.
Plans to try and recreate.
Yeah, getting out there and seeing those red pygmy rattlesnakes with my buddy Kyle, and then with Gary, that was a really cool day, and I'm very grateful to those guys for taking me along. And my buddy Kyle really, really likes herping that area of North Carolina, and he was like, dude, I got to get you to come out there. You're going to love it. There's lots of cool stuff that we can see out there. We got the opportunity to see this and this and this and this. He's like, there's just red pygmies all over the place. And I was like, I am down. I'm so excited. So drove out there. It's like a 3-hour drive for me. So I drove out, get up at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning or something. And I might have left earlier than that because we got there like just after sunrise, and it was still pretty cool in the morning. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I park in this little parking lot, we meet up with them, and it's like, okay, we're going to like blast it out. We're going to do all day herping. I'm like, cool. He's got a bunch of spots where we're going to go check things out. And we turn onto the road to get started for the day. And there's a red pygmy right in the middle of the road, just got hit by a car. And I was like, no. Yeah. Oh, man, that's rough. And it was like maybe 5 inches or 8 inches long. It was not a super big one and not a particularly small one either. Mm-hmm. But first thing in the morning to get your first one hit in the road, that was pretty. I was like, I hope this doesn't bode poorly for the rest of the day.
Right.
But we drove around to like a little hiking spot, and we started hiking. He's like, hey, just keep an eye out because there's a lot of them here. And within the first 2 minutes, we saw one, and then walk a little bit further, we see another one. Walk a little bit further, we see another one. I think we saw 4 at that spot, and it's just like a little side place off the main road. And I'm walking through there and I'm looking around and I'm like, man, this is really good habitat. I don't know if I would see one hanging out in here. It's really dense, like forest. And I walk into this little clearing area, and there's like some big pine trees in the area. Mm-hmm. And I walk over into the middle, and I'm like, it looks like there should be one right here. The sun is coming, just pouring through the trees right here. There should be one right here. And I turn around and there's one coiled up right at the base of the pine tree right there. And I was like, right there. That's where one should be.
Don't you love it when it comes together like that? Or
It's very rarely that I was like, this looks like a photo that you would see in a book. Like if I was going to pick a place to photograph one, it would be right here. There's like a little swampy area. There's some down branches over, like thick branches over here, and these pine trees and the pine straw. It would look really cool if there was a red pygmy rattlesnake right here, and boom, there is a full-grown adult male chilling right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that was really cool getting to check those out. And we saw 8, I think, that day.
Yeah.
8 or 9 or something like that.
That's awesome.
And we saw a bunch early in the day. We took a break for lunch, and then we hit a couple little flip spots that he's got out there. And we're driving down this long trek, and there is like these, not high tension lines, but like the little bit bigger power lines going along the edge there. And we see a line worker truck pulled over on the side, and 4 or 5 guys, maybe 4 guys outside of the truck with their phones like this, going, and we're like, what are the odds it's a snake? What are the odds that they're looking at a snake right now? And so we like pull over real quick, whip back, and pull up to them, and we're like, you guys see it? Is there a snake down there? Like, what are you guys looking at? And they didn't speak a lot of English, but they're going like this. And so we're like, oh, it's got to be a snake. This has got to be good. So we hop out, and it is a cane, a really nice cane. Let me see if I can get it up there.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Like probably about 3.5 foot, maybe 4 foot.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're so cool. That banding cool. And the orange stripe.
Overlaying orange stripe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Really, really nice. So we like stomp down some grass in the area where it's hanging out so we can get some pictures of it. and yeah, just a really nice.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we saw.
And they had stopped for it, or they saw it off the road, or what happened?
They were doing line. So they were electrical workers, and they were working on the power lines, and so they were going from the truck trying to get through the grass to the power line, and it was coiled up in the grass. And so they took a step in and like hopped back out immediately, and we just happened to be driving by right as that was going on.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So that was mint. And so we got to check that out up close, got to get some good photos of that, and took a little lull at the midday. We went out and did a couple more flips. We didn't really find a whole ton. At the end, remind me, I'll show you one of the things that I got, because I found something that I could bring home. And it's not alive or anything, but something that we're along the coast, and I found something really cool, and I was like, I'm gonna take that. That's really cool. It's like a dried skull, but it's really cool.
Right.
And so we took a little bit of lull for the end of the day, and then as we're getting closer to sunset, he's like, okay, we're gonna go hit this dirt road over here, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna go look for some pygmies. And we hit the dirt road, and we found a pretty nice sized copperhead. And we stopped, and it made a beeline right underneath the vehicle and like held up underneath there. And so we're like, crap, what are we gonna can't move until this thing gets out of here, and hopefully it doesn't try to climb up into the the van. So we had to kind of get a little stick and scoot him out from underneath there.
We had that with a bearded dragon in South Australia. Where it just we were filming it on the side of the road, and it ran past me, like under my legs, and then ran right under the car. And then we were looking for it. We couldn't see it. We're like, oh, did it? I hope it didn't climb up in the vehicle, And then I noticed it was I can't remember if I saw it or Jordan saw it, but it was in the wheel well of the car. Like it was just sitting in the wheel well, like hanging out. So I grabbed it, pulled it out, put it on the side of the road, and it just ran right back under the car again. We're like, no.
It's like shade, restitution.
Right. Can be unpredictable sometimes. Yeah, I've got some great video of Rob chasing a horned lizard under the vehicle, trying to catch it or get it off the road or something.
That's awesome. Yeah. So
are the dirt roads pretty productive, or do you find more on the dirt roads versus the paved roads?
It depends where you're at and what you're looking for. I think the dirt roads tend to be pretty productive, at least when I'm looking for stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm awful at road cruising, so the paved roads could be better. I just am not seeing it. Right. I have a couple places that are dirt roads that I go road cruising, and I find a decent amount of stuff there, black rats and copperheads and. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen some corn snakes where I drove right by them and all that sort of stuff. So,
I still think I drove past a snapping turtle. My wife says it was just garbage on the road, but there's some invasive populations in Utah, and so I was driving, and I'm like, that looked exactly like a snapping turtle, but we were on the freeway, so I wasn't gonna. I couldn't pull over on the side of the freeway and run back because by the time it registered, we were like probably 2 miles past it or something. Yeah.
I had that happen with a mud snake when I was on my way back from Florida.
Oh, really?
Not last year, I think the year before when I was coming back from Daytona. I'm on the highway and I'm like, red and black. What the? Was that a? Oh, I think that was a mud snake. Why is it on the highway? I mean, it makes sense why it's dead, but why is it on the highway?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended out that night with one pygmy, right at sunset. But it's crazy because the color that they are when you're road cruising at nighttime with your headlights on, they glow like neon red. Ridiculously.
Yeah, that is so gorgeous. Just that kind of lighter pink color undertones and then the bright red stripes or spots, intermingled with black spots. That is a nice look. Oh, wow. It's almost like a Ridge-nose rattlesnake face there. You got that line of white scales on the bottom jaw and on the top jaw. It's beautiful. Yeah.
And that's the last one we found for the night. And I was just like, I was over the moon. I was like, I couldn't ask for a better trip than that.
Oh, man, I need to make a trip out there. Yeah.
Is there a seasonality for them that seems to work better? Because I know I was a little surprised when you had gone and had as much success as you did.
I was a little surprised too. He goes out there. I've only been out there the one time with him. Yeah. But he seems to go out there all the time, like pretty regularly throughout the year, and has pretty good success.
Kind of consistently. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a certain time of the year that you're gonna be able to find them, but
yeah. I mean, you're probably more likely to find them during summer than the winter.
Right. But...
Okay, fair enough.
We laugh because in Utah and Colorado, that's a
that would absolutely
pretty funny joke. Yeah, you could say, oh yeah, you see it much better in the summer than the winter.
I went up to Massachusetts for a funeral a couple weeks ago, right when they got hit with that snowstorm.
Yeah, good timing.
We got 28 inches of snow in one night. I'm like,
that's where all our snow went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? To me, I see that and I'm like, there are snakes out hibernating right now under this much snow.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous. That is wild that they just persist up there, because when I see 28 inches of snow, I say, I never want to come back here again.
Right. Yeah.
That's more snow in that one snowstorm than I have seen collectively in all the time that I've been in North Carolina.
Different worlds for sure. Yeah.
Completely different. So but that trip was great, and we got to go out with Gary, and so cool. He was like pointing out, this is where we used a pygmy road right over here, and we used to go out there on our lunch break and go out there and we'd see 30, 40, 50 pygmy rattlesnakes all in one day, and they're just all over the place. You got to be careful where you step, because they're cruising on the road and they're on the path and coiled up over here. And talking to him was really, really cool, and just hearing some of the stories from back in the day when he used to do all his herping out there, and all the different little nuanced things that he would pick up over his time being herping out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved his book, The Caulfield Letters. Justin's buddy Chuck, helped him put that together. So that, we were then chatting with him about it at the party at Bob's house when we were down there in the fall, and it really cool. But yeah, such a cool book, such a cool conceit. All that Caulfield stuff is, really interesting for sure. So.
Yeah. Such a good time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely need to make a trip out to your neck of the woods. That'd be fun to go see some of these things. I don't know. There's so many cool reptiles out there. It's obviously, the message here is whether you're touching them or not, get out and find them, get out in nature, get out and enjoy these beautiful animals. Cause I
would tend to agree. And, I think that, getting back to the argument a little bit, I think there's a place a little bit for both, but I think that more minds are changed when people can get a critter in their hand. That's one of the main things when I was doing educational programs, trying to get people to change their mind. If I can get you to just touch the snake just once, you're gonna go, hey, you know what, maybe that wasn't that bad. And then I can't tell you how many times where I was doing programs and I get people who start the program and they're like, nope, I don't want anything to do with it. I refuse to even look at that thing. And then if I can get them to just one finger touch it, and they go, oh, that's not slimy at all. And I go, that's right. You've been lied to. You've been lied to your whole life. Like, look at this creature. They're like, what if it bites you? I'm like, look at how little its mouth is. Has your dog ever bit you? Even playfully? It hurts. Your dog hurts worse than whatever this little corn snake is going to do to you. Like, look at its teeth are not forming out of its face. They got to fit inside this little tiny mouth. So start using your deductive reasoning skills here. This thing is not that dangerous.
Right.
And if you can get people's hands on things, 9 times out of 10 it changes their whole worldview when it comes to critters and animals and things like that. So
yeah, definitely experiential learning with reptiles has a big place for sure. Yeah. I agree there. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Really appreciate you coming on, and it's been a fun topic and getting to hear about some of your trips and finds and stuff. Yeah. Good luck with your mud snake quest. And where can people see your stuff? Where are you at if they don't know?
If you have found this podcast, you probably heard the Reptile Talk podcast. Me and Jeremy are on there. I haven't made it to the last couple episodes because I've just been literally the last one. I think I was traveling, and so I wasn't able to be there. My grandfather passed away. He was 96 and was in hospice for 2 years. We knew it was coming, but I wasn't able to be there for that. And then traveling and doing this and doing that. But check out Reptile Talk podcasts. We're trying to line up some more stuff to go on here. We're pretty casual. We just talk to people about what they like to talk about reptiles. So
I love the podcast because you guys are just so positive. Your energy is great. You just always it's just the fun how you guys kind of play off each other and interact, and it's just great. Yeah, really fun to listen to. I would appreciate that sentiment. Check it out.
And then if you want to see any of the stuff that I'm doing online, I pretty much only post on Instagram. I post on Facebook a little bit, but most of the stuff I do is because I just take pictures of snakes. I'm like, snake. So Instagram is kind of the best for that at the moment. So Rob is Creeping It Real on Instagram. I have a TikTok. I don't really use it. I have a Facebook. I only add people if I am pretty sure that you can be chill and you only post snake stuff. Usually when I get a friend request, I scroll on someone's page for at least a couple minutes of just what are you posting on here? Because I really don't need any more BS in my life right now. And if I'm not sure, then I got 1,000 people in friend request purgatory right now. So
that's
and snakes, and you're not included.
Right. That's kind of what I've done with Instagram to some extent, where it's like if you're not just posting wild snakes, I probably am not going to follow. It's like I don't need to see more captive stuff. I can see that on Facebook, but Instagram's just for wild stuff.
And there's a lot of really great herping accounts on Instagram, like people who And not even just like US stuff, like all over the world. There's some really great herping accounts.
Oh man, I don't know, there's people that basically live their life herping. I'm not sure how they do it, but it's
I don't know.
Cool. I'm jealous, I'd love to do that. But yeah, Jordan was telling me about a friend of his that's trying to find like every reptile in every state. So you might see it in Florida, but you didn't see it in Georgia. So you got to go find it in Georgia. And he's about through it. He's found most of them. It's kind of crazy.
Really?
So yeah, it's pretty cool. But
wow, a couple toughies there for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that would be a tough thing to do for sure.
That is wild. Huh. If you haven't checked out the Herping China page, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Because I love Fees Vipers, Azemiopsifea, and the Carini, and they see those pretty periodically and post those on that page, and I'm like, oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. I want to see more of that. So whenever I see accounts that post cool stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna follow that. That's cool.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, I love seeing just what people are finding throughout the world. It's pretty amazing. There's just too many cool reptiles. I guess speaking of which,
redeeming qualities of social media, right?
Right, yeah.
And I do kind of wonder how. So obviously, herping has been a thing previously, right? In field herp forum, going back before, and even reading Koppeld and whatever. But like, how much of this is actually sort of has propagated it as something that people do, right? The visibility actually encouraging it in a way that. For better and worse, but that is sort of a question that always arises to my mind is like, were there this number of people doing it, right? It's just like the classic Instagram thing. Remember back in the 80s, early 90s, I know we all do, when you would fix a nice supper and then you go take a picture, get it developed, and then walk over to your neighbors and show it to them.
Like, hey, look at this.
Classically, look at what I just fixed for supper. That's what we all did. And in that same way, is that what's happening with this? Going out and herping now, or has it encouraged people that otherwise wouldn't be doing it? And I think there has to be some. To some extent, right? The visibility is actually encouraging people to do it, which I think is a net positive.
Right.
I get a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but I get at least a handful of people every single year who message me and they're like, hey, I love seeing your herping things and I'm going herping for my first time. Can you give me some tips or like whatever? And then they'll send me a picture of the first snake that they see. And they're like, look, I found a, I know that they're excited and hyped. And I'm like, I'm excited for you. Yeah. Come to the dark side.
Yeah.
Just wait till you see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It does get deep pretty quick. Yeah. But it is a fun
I get a few people that say, I've seen you post herping stuff and I want to try it out. And even if they just see an anole or a fence lizard or, something pretty common, it's still exciting for a lot of people. So I love hearing that stuff.
For sure. And I'd love, keeping that excitement alive, even if you've seen your 1,000th anole, to be excited to see an anole, still cool,
Oh, I'm excited.
Right. And watching, sitting and watching them display or, do their little dewlap thing. That's crazy cool. Yeah. That's a really neat appendage, for a lizard to flare its neck out like that. It's pretty awesome. So
if they were from Asia, they would be a $250 lizard.
Right.
And at a bare minimum, watching your messaging around that, right, is not diminishing it for anybody, right? Because we don't have those here. That's not normal. Even, your experience in Massachusetts, right? So that's, I think, as, responsible stewards of putting content out, if we're going to take that mantle on, then we need to make sure that we're not doing it in a cynical way, right? That then ruins the experience for other people.
Oh, it's just another this or just that.
I get a lot of people. I see the post that sort of stuff, and it's like they only get hyped about the cool things. And I'm like, I saw some anoles breeding on someone's fence last year, and I was like, "Oh, look at this! This is," and he's like hanging her off the edge of the fence. I was like, "Damn, bro, chill out! You gotta." There's no safety harness or nothing. Be careful, man. What are you doing?
Well, kind of at the end of the show, we like to see if there's anything really cool that you've seen lately in herpetoculture or herpetology. anything that's kind of caught your interest? And I'm drawing a blank a little bit, other than seeing Pat's cool videos of all his trips lately. Pat May Utah, I think, is his handle on YouTube. But yeah, check out his videos.
Let's see. I've seen a couple cool things recently. This is like coincidentally cool. It would be cooler in context. I'll explain it and then I'll tell you. I saw a juvenile Acrocortis granulatus, the small file snake. I saw a fresh baby at one of the reptile exhibits recently, and I was like, oh man, that's so freaking cool, because it was beautiful. Like the size of a baby cow king, and I was just like, oh man, that's so freaking cool. And I spent
it looks like a baby cow king, right?
Yeah,
so pretty.
It looks like a little yellow lip sea crate or something. The thing is so cool. And so I spent like 10 minutes staring at that little deli cup, and one of the importers had imported a gravid female, and so she gave birth to like a bunch of babies, and so he's had some available. And like, if you wanted to do a breeding project with one of those, or even if you just wanted to raise one, getting a fresh baby where it's less likely to be affected by that snake, the white fungal stuff that they get. Yeah, that's your best bet, would be to get one of those little babies. And I see the Javanicus, the elephant trunk snakes, pretty commonly, even the small ones. So like when I see a baby one of those, I'm like, that's cool. It's very interesting. I think those are cool. I think those are usually a lot bigger than most people can handle as far as setting up an aquatic setup and feeding and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But the granulatus, so cool. So cool.
And I've never seen the real little ones on those. Yeah, that's cool, man.
It was so cool. And I want to say Mike Clarkson has bred them 2 times, I think, 2, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, he's been killing it with the aquatic snakes. It's awesome. Yeah,
and so I want to give him mad props, because I have been following that species for a very long time and not seen anything, and until the last 5 years maybe, of like breeding pictures and then people producing babies and that sort of thing. And I get geeked out about that, because I just think those things are so freaking cool. They're so cool. And then there's the albino gaboons out of Africa. Those are pretty neat. They just had another litter born last week or something, and I know some people are like, they don't like them, and I'm like, man, it looks like they're painted with starburst. It looks like you took a starburst, like pink and yellow and orange starburst, and melted it into a snake. It's so pretty. And I'm a little bit on the contrarian side when it comes to gaboons and rhinos, because I think rhinos smoke gaboons every day of the week, but people seem to like rhinos, or like the gaboons, quite a bit more. But those albinos, man, they're so cool. To me, they're just phenomenal looking, and the different variations of the albinos are really, really pretty. So seeing that was really, really cool. I think that those, I've seen some Nautinus geckos come to North America recently. So I think some in Europe, or some in Canada, and then some in the US. And I'm not sure if they were gray eye or the other one. I think they're gray eye.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because that was really, they weren't coming in at all, really. It was really hard to get those in. Yeah. I wonder if it's all the turmoil with the government. They're just not worried about those things anymore, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know Steve Sharp, he was contemplating, moving to New Zealand at one point, and there was a herpetologist over there that works with a bunch of the Nautinus, and he's like, oh, we've got a ton of them. They bred like crazy, and you can have as many as you want once you get here. He's like, kind of cool. But, so apparently the people over there don't have any problem breeding them, and and they can't do anything with them, so they just give them away to their friends or whatever.
That's wild. I made friends with somebody who lives over in New Zealand recently on Instagram, and she saw some of my like herping stuff, and she's like, you go outside and there's just snakes there? And I was like, yeah, they're like all over the place. And she's like, I don't know if I could do that. There's like no snakes here. Snakes, like even the lizards are really rare. We don't really get that. And I was like, if you see any lizards, please send me a picture. I need to see it.
Yeah. They've got some phenomenal geckos and skinks. There's some neat skinks over there too that are really cool.
And the tuatara.
Hard to beat that. I saw a couple geckos over there, some Woodworthia geckos that were pretty cool. I didn't see any Naltinus, unfortunately, but yeah.
I feel like those would be real hard to find.
Right. You'd have to get pretty lucky or know how to find them, I guess. Yeah.
Jake Menny was just on that Joe Mack podcast that we were talking about earlier, and he talked about going to New Zealand for a conference or something and finding, I think it was either Elegans or Grey Eye. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that would be a dream. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Man, someday.
That's so cool. Well, anything else really jumped out, but I think those are the main things that I've been like geeked on recently. yeah, for sure. Now I've been enjoying that Pyro book. He's a little
You're picking up what I was putting down, but yeah.
He's using the danger noodle and turns that. I'm like, come on.
There's some modern. It's not quite Caulfield, right? But at the same time, I think.
But he does a good job. Like he's a good storyteller, and it's enjoyable to read. So yeah, I mean, I when I started reading it, I got through probably 50 pages. Just as soon as I took it out of the package, I just started reading it. So it really kind of hooks you in. It's pretty fun.
So Rob, the book that he's talking about is Pyro by Dallin Kohler, who was in Utah, and it's at BYU, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Who, as part of his undergrad, trying to get into a graduate school program, wanted to be involved in natural sciences program, became involved with, or wanted to be interested in reptiles, and wanted to find a pyro in Utah, and then that turned into sort of this, quest to find a pyro in Utah. A big part of what I really appreciate about the book is that it does speak to that is a goal, and that can be difficult. And it took him more than one season to do that. Ours, we found, a mating pair on the trail within our first couple hours of being there. He is a couple hours from habitat, and he looked for a whole year and didn't find him, right? It took him. Yeah. So, but that's the nature of the thing, right? And a lot of the time that's sort of undervalued and understated and things. So that's a large part of what I appreciate. And he's actually now a graduate student at Nanjing Forestry, which I assume is as part of Kevin Messenger's lab. So, which is cool. Worked out for him, and it's a cool book, and $10 on Amazon or whatever. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, it's worth a pickup and read. It's fun. Yeah.
Despite what Justin
you lose me at the boop noodles.
I read it in a day.
Yeah.
Yes, but there is a little bit of the hyper modern now to the writing and things, and I don't know, whatever. It is what it is, but definitely an overall positive rating.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the only qualm I had, was the use of
my only
those
qualm
kind of
was
terms.
his willingness to accept the lumping of the block guy.
Right. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Rob. It's been a lot of fun to have you back, and your insights and hearing about your herping. So yeah, we'll have to
anytime. I love this, and I'm honored to be back.
Appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Eric and Owen and the MPR Network, and we'll catch you next week for more Reptile Fight Club.